Imagine this for a second. Developers, okay, not just using one AI coding assistant, but maybe like four, all running at the same time
Mm.
and finishing work in 30 minutes that, used to gobble up half your day. Does that sound like something out of a movie? Or is it something real, something you could actually install with just one command, like right now?
It sounds pretty wild, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's surprisingly grounded.
Yeah. And if you're a developer listening, you know that feeling, right? You're finally in the zone, deep work, building out that feature, everything's flowing.
Mm.
And then ping, urgent bug.
Oh, yeah, the flow killer.
Totally. And the question is always, stash your work, lose all that momentum, switch context. For ages, the answer has just been a kind of resigned, yep.
You just had to.
But what if you didn't? What if you could, like, literally keep that feature work going while dealing with the bug in parallel?
Mm.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. This whole deep dive is about a tool called Claude Squad and how it's enabling this kind of truly parallelized AI development. We're going to look at why the old way, the one AI at a time thing, is starting to hit a wall.
Yeah, the sequential approach.
Exactly. And how Claude Squad gets around that whole orchestration mess. We'll talk about the productivity numbers, which are, frankly, a bit staggering.
They really are.
And maybe most importantly, why this isn't just some nifty new tool, but maybe the first real glimpse of a much bigger shift in how we all get work done, especially knowledge work.
A fundamental shift.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that developer experience first. We're all seeing this explosion, right? AI in coding.
It's everywhere.
GitHub Copilot alone, what is it, 15 million developers? Plus you've got Cursor, Claude Code, Aider. All these powerful tools are genuinely changing how we build software.
Absolutely. They're becoming standard kit.
But there's this kind of hidden cost, isn't there? A sort of dirty secret.
Uh-huh. Which is?
Well, while these individual AI assistants are amazing, like Claude Code for refactoring, Aider for banging out prototypes, quickly they've accidentally created this new problem.
Right. The bottleneck hasn't disappeared, it's just moved.
Exactly. It's the inability to use these specialized tools together simultaneously without constantly stopping, switching, and losing your train of thought.
It really is like having this amazing team of consultants, specialists in different areas ready to help.
Yeah.
But the catch is you can only talk to one at a time. It's maddening. So you finish a task with one AI, you close it down, you open up the next one.
You have to re-explain the entire code base, give it all the context again.
And basically start over from square one with that new tool, all that momentum gone. It just kills efficiency.
And then you look at the money side of it, the economics, it's pretty wild.
Tell me about it.
So some recent analysis suggests the cost difference, right, between running just one AI agent versus running four at the same time. That's tiny, like 30 cents.
30 cents? Seriously?
Yeah, like just 10 cents for one versus maybe other dollars, 40 cents for four per session or whatever. But here's the kicker. That extra 30 cents can save you, on average, a full 20 minutes of development time.
Wow. Okay, 20 minutes for 30 cents. When you think about a developer's hourly rate.
It's almost absurd. The imbalance is just huge.
Honestly, when I first saw numbers like that, I thought, that can't be right. Had to double check. But yeah, 30 cents for 20 minutes of dev time.
Makes you wonder why we haven't all been doing this, right?
Exactly. That's the question. If it's so obviously beneficial, economically speaking, why isn't everyone running multiple agents all the time?
And the answer seems to be.
The barrier, up till now, has really been the sheer nightmare of orchestration. Trying to manage all these different tools, their separate environments, keeping track of their outputs, making sure they don't step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
It's been a huge, messy technical hurdle.
Right. Just coordinating everything.
Yeah, coordination nightmare.
Okay, so that's the problem.
Yeah.
Now, this is where Claude Squad apparently comes in and does something clever.
Mm-hmm. Developed by SMTG AI.
And what's neat is they didn't try to, build everything from scratch, right? They combined existing stuff.
Exactly. They were smart about it. They took three really battle-tested technologies and fused them together in a pretty elegant way.
Okay, what are they? Lay them out for us.
Sure. So first up is tmux.
Ah, the terminal multiplexer. Old school, but powerful.
Right. And they use it for its robust terminal session isolation. The key thing here is that each AI agent gets its own separate persistent virtual terminal. It keeps things clean, prevents interference between the agents. Super important when you've got multiple things running.
Okay, isolation via tmux. Makes sense. What's number two?
Number two is Git worktrees. And honestly, this might be the genius part.
Git work trees. Explain that a bit more. I know Git, but work trees aren't something everyone uses daily.
Right. So instead of having all your AI agents trying to make changes on the same Git branch, which would be chaos, right? Constant conflicts, Git worktrees let you check out multiple branches of your repository into different directories simultaneously.
Ah, okay. So each AI agent gets its own separate working directory.
Exactly. Its own isolated workspace linked to its own dedicated Git branch. This is huge because it completely prevents conflicts, stops agents from accidentally overwriting each other's work, and keeps everything neatly compartmentalized. You can merge the changes later, under control.
That is clever. Okay, tmux for isolation, Git work trees for workspace separation. What's the third piece?
The third piece is the terminal UI. Basically, they wrapped all this underlying complexity, the tmux sessions, the Git worktrees, in a user interface that runs right in your terminal.
So it makes managing it all easier.
Yeah, it makes it, dare I say, actually pleasant. It's clean, it's simple, but it gives you the controls you need to spin up agents, monitor them, switch between them, without getting lost in the weeds of managing tmux and Git manually.
Gotcha. So practically speaking, how does this look for a developer?
Okay, so imagine you need to work on a new feature. You spin up a Claude Squad workspace for, say, Claude Code, assign it a new Git branch, give it the task. But then, oh wait, that urgent bug report comes in. Instead of stopping your feature work, you just spin up another workspace. Maybe this one uses Aider, points it to the main branch or a bug fix branch, tells it to fix the CSS issue.
And maybe a third one for just messing around with some experimental refactoring.
Why not? Spin up another workspace, another agent, another branch, each one totally separate, its own terminal session, its own Git context, everything preserved.
Okay, I can see how the pieces fit together now.
And the really transformative part, the major benefit here, is that all these agents can be running at the same time in the background.
Right, so Claude Code is chugging away on the authentication refactor.
While Aider is simultaneously fixing that CSS bug.
And you, the developer, are freed up.
Yeah.
You can monitor their progress, review the code they're generating, or maybe even step back and think about the bigger picture architecture.
Exactly. It fundamentally changes the workflow from sequential waiting to parallel execution and oversight. I admit, when I first heard about this, I was a bit skeptical. Sounded almost too efficient, you know?
Yeah, like there had to be a catch.
But the real-world results, the numbers we're seeing from developers using it, they really back it up. It turns that old bottleneck into a genuinely parallel process. It's quite impressive to see in action.
And that parallel workflow, it's not just theory. It's having a real impact. We talked to some devs using it.
Oh, yeah. What did they say?
Well, take Sarah from the Intercom team. She mentioned Claude Code completed tasks in a single pass that would normally take 45+ minutes of manual work.
Right.
Which is great on its own, right?
Definitely a win.
But then she added, but with Claude Squad, I'm running multiple agents simultaneously. It's not just faster, it's a completely different way of thinking about development.
Ah, see, that's the core shift right there. It's not just speed, it's a mental model change.
Exactly. And her experience isn't unique. The productivity numbers floating around are, like I said, pretty staggering.
Like what?
We're hearing about 20 minutes saved per multi-agent session. Those 45-minute plus tasks getting done in single passes. And maybe the most telling stat, 91% of developers using tools like this report improved business success.
91%.
Wow.
Wow, that's significant. That's
Yeah.
not just marginal improvement.
No kidding.
And if we zoom out again, connect this back to the bigger picture, it really isn't just about coding faster, is it?
Seems like more than that.
It feels like a cognitive upgrade.
Right.
When you actually can orchestrate multiple AI agents effectively, your thinking shifts. You stop thinking, okay, what's the very next task I need to do?
And start thinking.
And start thinking, what's the next system I need to build or improve? So for you listening, imagine you're tackling a new feature. Instead of just coding it sequentially, you're thinking, okay, how can Agent 1 generate the core logic while Agent 2 drafts the unit tests and Agent 3 starts outlining the documentation all at the same time?
Right. Breaking the problem down differently from the start.
Exactly. It's moving from that linear sequential thinking we're all used to towards genuine parallel thinking, which honestly is a crucial skill shift for any learner, any knowledge worker trying to maximize what they can achieve. It's about system-level problem decomposition.
Okay, that's compelling. But let's bring it back down to earth a bit. I mean, we shouldn't oversell this, right?
Yeah.
Claude Squad sounds powerful, but it's not magic. There must be challenges, limitations.
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial to have a balanced view. It's a tool, not a panacea.
So what are some of the hurdles people should expect?
Well, first off, while they've made the UI nice, there's still a degree of setup complexity.
Okay.
Installing it might be simple, just one command, but configuring multiple different AI agents, managing all the API keys securely, getting comfortable with how Git worktrees actually function,
Hmm.
there's definitely a learning curve involved there. It's not zero effort.
Right. You need to understand the underlying tech to some extent. What else?
Second, resource requirements. This is a big one.
Makes sense. More agents running.
Means more API calls, which means potentially higher costs hitting those API providers.
Yeah.
And it also means more CPU, more RAM being used on your local machine to manage everything. So you need to be mindful, apply it thoughtfully, not just run 4 agents for every tiny task.
Okay. Costs and system resources. Got it. Third.
Third, there's a real coordination overhead mentally.
For the developer.
Yeah. Just because you can run 4 or 5 things at once doesn't mean your brain can easily track all of them effectively. Sometimes the cognitive load of managing multiple streams of AI work, checking their outputs, merging their results, it can actually outweigh the time savings if you're not careful or if the task isn't complex enough to warrant it.
Interesting point. The management itself takes effort.
Definitely. And finally, number 4, there are integration challenges. Not all AI coding tools are created equal, and they weren't necessarily designed to work side by side in this orchestrated way. You really need to understand the specific strengths and weaknesses of each agent you're using, what Claude Code is good at versus Aider versus Copilot, etc., to make the whole system work effectively. Mixing and matching requires knowing your tools.
So learning curve, resources, mental overhead, and tool integration. That's a fair list of caveats.
Yeah, and actually there was some interesting discussion about this on Geek News in the Korean developer community.
Oh, yeah. What was the vibe?
The general consensus seemed to be pretty much what we're saying. Claude Squad is powerful. It's definitely a tool worth investigating and learning. But you need to go in with realistic expectations. Understand the setup, understand the overhead, understand where it shines and where maybe a single agent is still perfectly fine. It's a specialized tool for complex, multifaceted problems, not necessarily an everyday replacement for simpler tasks.
Okay, the context is helpful. It's powerful, but needs careful application. So, considering all that, the power and the challenges, it really makes you think about the bigger picture here, doesn't it? Because Claude Squad, it feels like just the beginning, like the first sign of a much larger trend.
I think so too. If you look at the market context, the AI agent market overall hit something like $5.4 billion in 2024.
Wow.
And it's growing incredibly fast, like 45% annually. And maybe even more telling, you've got something like 230,000 organizations already building their own custom AI agents using platforms like Microsoft's Copilot Studio.
So, agents are becoming widespread, and people are customizing them.
Right. Which leads to a fascinating thought. Maybe we're rapidly heading towards a future where the most valuable skill isn't just being really good at using one specific AI tool, but rather being really good at orchestrating multiple different AI agents, combining their strengths to tackle much bigger, more complex problems. The orchestrator becomes the key role.
That's a profound shift in thinking about skills.
It really is.
And this idea, this orchestration concept, it's not just limited to coding, is it? You could apply this elsewhere.
Absolutely not. Think about it. Imagine a content creator.
Okay.
They could have multiple AI agents running simultaneously. One doing deep research and fact-checking, another drafting the main article or script.
A third, maybe optimizing snippets for social media.
And a fourth doing real-time SEO analysis on the content as it's being generated, all coordinated.
Or a lawyer.
Yeah, a lawyer could have agents digging through case law, another drafting standard legal documents, a third analyzing precedents for specific arguments, and maybe even one helping manage client communications.
The potential seems huge across different fields.
It really does, because the core principles that make Claude Squad work for developers, that idea of isolation, parallel processing, and having coordinated workflows, those fundamentals, they apply pretty much across the board to any kind of complex knowledge work. It's a new pattern, a new paradigm for getting sophisticated stuff done.
And where does it go next? Because, as you said, Claude Squad still requires the human, you, the developer, to do this setup and coordination.
Right. We're still the conductors of this AI orchestra.
What's the next step? Automation of the orchestration itself.
That's where it gets really exciting, I think. Imagine a future state, maybe not too far off, where the AI agents themselves become more autonomous in this.
Oh, so.
Imagine an AI agent that can analyze a complex task, figure out it needs help, and then spawn other specialized AI agents to handle subtasks.
Well,
And not just spawn them, but also coordinate their workflows, maybe even handle minor conflicts between their outputs automatically, and then synthesize the results back to you, the human, in a much more integrated, almost complete package.
okay, that sounds like science fiction again.
Hmm.
Agents managing other agents.
Does it? I don't know. Based on the speed things are moving right now, the sheer velocity of development in this space, I wouldn't be shocked if we started seeing early versions of that kind of sophisticated, automated coordination within, say, 18 months, maybe 2 years. It feels like the logical next step.
Hmm. That's a bold prediction, but I can see the trajectory. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What's the core takeaway from this deep dive for everyone listening?
I think the main message is pretty clear. The era of just using one AI assistant sequentially is probably drawing to a close, at least for complex work.
Right. Orchestrated, multi-agent approaches like what Claude Squad enables for development, that looks like it's going to become the new standard, the new expectation.
Yeah, I truly believe that. And I encourage everyone listening, especially if you're in a field where this applies, to really consider your role in this shift.
How so?
Don't just wait for it to happen. Be an early adopter. Start experimenting with these tools now, even with the current limitations. Play with orchestration concepts, because the people who get comfortable with this early are the ones who are going to shape how this incredibly powerful future actually unfolds.
That's a great call to action. And maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Go for it.
As you start, or continue, to integrate AI into your daily work, think beyond just using a single tool for a single task. Ask yourself, how does this shift from one-on-one AI assistance to orchestrating a system of multiple AIs fundamentally change how you approach problems, how you innovate?
It's a deeper question.
Yeah, it pushes you beyond just getting tasks done faster, towards thinking about holistic system design, about decomposing problems in entirely new ways. So the question isn't just if you'll use AI anymore. It's becoming how many AIs will you use, and crucially, how effectively will you orchestrate them to really push the boundaries of what you thought was possible.
That's the challenge and the opportunity right there.